Now, I personally have always been a huge fan of different monthly paying dividend stocks and or ETFs that pay dividends on a monthly frequency. And as you can see right here in my long-term dividend growth portfolio, I own several of them. Now, just because a stock or ETF pays a dividend monthly does not necessarily mean it's a good investment, of course. Although in today's video, we're going to be going through one of my favorites and maybe the best monthly paying single dividend stock across the entire market. So if you want to dig into this company, see the performance, and see what could potentially be the best monthly paying dividend stock across the entire market, make sure to drop a like down below, stick around, and let's get right into it. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So the single stock, the monthly paying dividend stock that I think could potentially be the best single monthly paying dividend stock across the entire market is none other than ticker symbol MAIN, or Main Street Capital Corporation. Now, if you're not super familiar with Main Street Capital, it says right here on their homepage of their website, Main Street Capital, based in Houston, Texas, has helped over 200 private companies grow or transition by providing flexible private equity and debt capital solutions. Privately held businesses turn to us because we are Main Street, not Wall Street. We build relationships and tailor transactions to meet the unique needs of our portfolio companies and their owners. And what's also really cool about Main Street Capital is you can go right on their website and see some of their portfolio companies, and they have exposure to a ton of companies across the board, which honestly sort of makes Main Street Capital as a single stock feel as if you're almost getting exposure to more than just one thing, because of course the vast portfolio of companies. Now, in case you're curious, I first started buying some shares of Main Street Capital back in 2020 because honestly I liked what the company had to offer, and on top of that, it seemed to be a slight bit undervalued back then, along with the monthly dividend offering, which was what I was looking for. Like I said, and like it goes without saying, a monthly paying dividend stock or ETF does not necessarily make it a good investment, but for me personally, I'm looking to build out a long-term dividend growth portfolio that at some point I'm going to use the dividend income to pay for my bills and other things. So with that in mind, I definitely look at it as a plus or a positive if a stock or ETF pays monthly, because it's going to help me with cash flow later on down the line. But to dig a little bit deeper into Main Street Capital's performance, and this performance has been outstanding, especially over the last 5 or so years. Main over the last year, as far as price return goes, not dividends included, is up almost 28%, which is insane. The last 5 years up 31, 32%. The last 10 years up almost 80%. And on the max time frame, Main Street Capital's chart looks pretty beautiful, up almost 300%, and this is since 2007. Now, Main Street Capital, as of filming this video, is trading at all-time highs, so this is obviously not necessarily the best time to buy some shares of Main, although for me personally, whenever Main does have some red days, I consistently grab a few more shares from my portfolio. All in all, I have several hundred shares of Main right now in my long-term portfolio. But it's not just Main Street Capital's price performance and business model that's very impressive. This stock also does offer a juicy starting dividend, around 6% as of right now, and keep in mind this forward yield was much higher not all that long ago, but because Main is trading at all-time highs, it's pushing the yield down further and further. All that to say that I still think Main Street Capital, even trading where it is now, offering almost a 6% starting yield, is not all that bad. Now, what's crazy about Main Street Capital's monthly paying dividends, as you can see right here, Main has paid dividends consistently every single month for several years now, but you also see some darker lines in here, and these are supplemental dividends or special dividends that Main Street Capital has paid investors on top of the normal monthly dividends. Now, ever since the last few or so years of holding on to Main Street Capital, for me personally, I've noticed more and more extra dividends being deposited into my portfolio as sort of a bonus over the years, which is amazing. It really makes Main Street Capital just even that much more enjoyable to own and hold on to long term. Now, is Main Street Capital going to continue to pay special dividends, supplemental dividends in the future? I guess only time will tell, but the last few years has been pretty consistent so far. Now, as far as Main Street Capital's dividend goes, dividend safety, Simply Safe Dividends has Main Street Capital's dividend safety as a 62 safe score, so it's not necessarily the safest dividend across the entire market. Although with what we've seen over the past few years with all the special supplemental dividends that investors have received, I think Main Street Capital's, especially just their normal dividend, the monthly dividend, should be very safe. Now, is Main Street Capital a dividend stock that's going to have insane dividend growth long term? Because it already has a 6% more or less starting yield, I don't really expect this one to be paying more and more in dividends necessarily, especially like we said, because Main Street Capital does have these special dividend payouts, or at least has over the last few years. The dividend growth isn't necessarily all that important as long as Main can continue to pay all these special dividends moving forward. Now, I said that Main Street Capital might be one of the best monthly paying dividend stocks across the entire market, and some investors would agree with me, maybe some would disagree with me, and definitely comment down below what you think. But this is really special here. If you look at 2007, back when Main Street Capital started trading, and compared it to the S&P 500 during that same time, a $10,000 investment into Main and into SPY would have returned an investor 16.91% on average per year. Or if that investor bought into SPY, they would return 9.37% on average per year. Or a $10,000 investment would have turned into $132,000 plus dollars. In SPY, a $10,000 investment would have only turned into $44,000. And of course, would have only is relative, that's still a great return, but Main Street Capital's return is outstanding. Now, of course, I personally would never invest only in Main Street Capital, nor would I only invest in SPY. And I'm also not saying that Main Street Capital is an overall better investment for a long-term investor versus buying something like SPY. But it is quite impressive to see Main Street Capital's performance over this time frame, over the last 16, 17 years, and the fact that it's outperformed SPY by such a margin is honestly insane. Not to mention, if we were to stack a Main Street Capital next to one of my other favorite, one of my largest holdings, Realty Income, during that same exact time frame, Realty Income has an average annual total return over this time frame of around 9.15%, and once again, Main Street Capital has that almost 17% average total return, which is much, much higher than Realty Income. So unless I'm missing something, I truly think that Main Street Capital as a single stock, as a monthly paying dividend stock, could quite possibly be one of the best across the entire market as of right now. But if it's not, please comment down below some ticker symbols that pay monthly that you think could compete head to head with Main Street Capital. Now, lastly, I wanted to touch on if or if not, I think Main Street Capital is offering a buying opportunity as of right now for long-term investors, and if or if not, I'm going to add some more shares of Main to my long-term portfolio. Like I sort of mentioned, I have been adding some shares of Main, a few here and there, but honestly, as of recently, since it's been trading at all-time highs, I've been sort of holding off and just holding onto the positions, holding onto the shares that I have as of currently. Now, could we see Main Street Capital blast past $50 per share? Could we see Main Street Capital head to $60 per share in the future? I think it's definitely possible. This company has the potential to grow larger and larger. But even if you don't personally think that Main Street Capital is offering a buying opportunity at these current levels, I definitely recommend, especially for dividend growth investors out there, to add Main Street Capital to your watch list if it isn't already. For investors that are currently building out their portfolio like myself personally, I am actively building out a portfolio of different monthly paying dividend stocks and ETFs, and on a monthly basis when I actually get paid all the dividends, I am currently reinvesting that money back into more dividend paying stocks and ETFs. And this is exactly how the dividend snowball takes place, the power of compounding. As you continue to invest and reinvest all the dividends along the way, you're going to at some point see exponential growth throughout your portfolio, which hopefully sometime in the future can even pay for your bills and then maybe your entire lifestyle. But lastly, now I want to hear from you guys down below. I want to know if or if not you already own some shares of Main Street Capital. And if you do own some shares, how many shares of Main do you have in your portfolios as of right now? Drop it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by. And if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.